There are moments in sports when history doesn't just play out, it collapses in front of our eyes. Moments when the greatest names suddenly seem vulnerable, when every headline, every camera angle, every whispered conversation in the paddock carries the weight of a career that may be nearing its breaking point. Right now, that's exactly where Lewis Hamilton finds himself. This isn't a rookie on the brink of losing his seat. This is the man who rewrote the Formula One record books. The driver with 7 world championships, 105 Grand Prix victories, and a legacy so secure it once seemed untouchable. His move to Ferrari was meant to be the storybook finale, an emotional union between the sport's most iconic driver and its most storied team. The Scuderia had been chasing championship glory for over a decade, and Hamilton's arrival felt like the missing piece, the spark to reignite the fire. But in just 7 months, that dream has curdled into a nightmare, and the unthinkable has happened. Bernie Ecclestone, the man who once shaped modern Formula One, has gone public with advice that sounds more like an obituary for a career than a pep talk. Quit now, walk away. Save your legacy before the sport's relentless reality tears it apart. The scale of Hamilton's struggles came into sharp, almost cruel focus at the Hungarian Grand Prix, a track that has been his personal fortress. 9 wins here, a record that no one else comes close to. But this time, instead of fighting for pole, he could only manage 12th in qualifying. His teammate, Charles Leclerc, Ferrari's homegrown hope, took pole position with a lap that lit up the timing screens, making the contrast impossible to ignore. And then came Hamilton's own brutal self-assessment, words that echoed like a gut punch. It's me every time. I'm useless. Absolutely useless. The team have no problem. You've seen the cars on pole, so we probably need to change the driver. This wasn't just frustration. It was self-doubt laid bare for the world to hear. And in Formula One, where confidence is as crucial as speed, that kind of public vulnerability is almost unheard of for a driver of his caliber. The race itself offered no escape. Hamilton finished exactly where he started, in 12th place, mired in the midfield, far from the battles that define champions. And when he left the FIA garage, cameras caught something telling. He shielded his face with his gloves, avoiding the photographer's lenses as if to block out the scrutiny. For a man whose career has thrived in the spotlight, this was a sign that the pressure isn't just professional, it's personal. The question is no longer whether Hamilton is fast enough. It's whether the dream of winning in red has already been shattered beyond repair. What makes this crisis even more complex is that the problems at Ferrari are not just about lap times or race results. They're about compatibility, behind the closed doors of the Maranello factory and the privacy of the engineering briefings. It's clear Hamilton has struggled to mold himself to the SF25's unique characteristics. Formula One cars are not interchangeable. Each is a finely tuned, living machine built around years of development, driver feedback, and a specific engineering philosophy. Charles Leclerc has spent his entire Ferrari career shaping that philosophy. He understands the quirks, the tendencies, the edge where the car bites back. Hamilton, on the other hand, spent nearly a decade at Mercedes refining a completely different driving style, one optimized for a car with distinct aerodynamic traits, power delivery, and cornering behavior. Those habits, honed over thousands of laps, don't simply disappear because you've changed overalls. Sources inside Ferrari suggest the clash is more than technical, it's strategic. Engineers find themselves caught between two sets of feedback that often contradict each other. Leclerc might request a sharper front end for turn-in, while Hamilton wants more stability mid. In a sport where the tiniest setup change can transform performance, these opposing needs can freeze development entirely. One senior Ferrari engineer admitted, under condition of anonymity, that Lewis is increasingly finding himself on an island. His sensitivity to certain aspects of the car is completely different from Charles, and that's creating a situation where the team doesn't know which direction to follow. The result, a car that isn't truly optimized for either driver, leaving both slightly compromised but Hamilton feeling the greater impact. And then there's the human factor. Formula One is as much about relationships as it is about engineering. A driver's race engineer is not just a voice on the radio, they're a confidant, strategist, and translator between the driver's instincts and the technical language of the team. At Mercedes, Hamilton had Peter Bonington Bono by his side for years, building a trust that allowed them to fine-tune not just the car, but each other. At Ferrari, that bond is still unformed, and in a hyper-sure environment like this, the absence of that trust can be devastating. It's no coincidence that paddock whispers about Ferrari's behind the scenes. Talks with Mercedes have included speculation about bringing Bono over. For Hamilton, that could be the bridge he needs, or the last throw of the dice before bigger decisions are made. Enter Bernie Ecclestone, the man who for decades controlled Formula One's commercial rights and shaped it into the global spectacle it is today. Ecclestone has never been shy about speaking his mind, but his comments on Hamilton's current plight were as blunt as they were unsettling. Lewis is very talented, was, and probably still is, he told Mail Sport, but like a lot of leading sports personalities, when they reach the top, there is only one way to go, and it's not a good direction. It's only down. That wasn't just a critique of performance, it was a warning about the natural arc of greatness. a reminder that even the most dominant careers have a shelf life. And in Ecclestone's view, Hamilton has reached his. What made his statement even more shocking was the prescription. He didn't just suggest Hamilton step away from Ferrari, he urged him to consider walking away from Formula One entirely. They get tired. Lewis is tired. He's been doing what he's doing forever. He needs a rest from it, for good a total reset to do something completely different. He may not think it, but he will soon get used to doing other stuff away from motor racing. Coming from a man who has watched the sport chew up and spit out countless champions, the sentiment carried weight. But Ecclestone wasn't finished. He went further, suggesting that Hamilton should proactively approach Ferrari about an early exit. If I were looking after him, I would negotiate with Ferrari immediately and say, if you have someone to replace Lewis, he'll step aside. Kind of talk is almost unheard of for a driver of Hamilton's stature, especially mid-season. But Ecclestone framed it as an act of self-preservation, even hinting at safety concerns. I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to Lewis. He's not fighting for a world championship and is at a stage of his life when it wouldn't be worth him spending 2 years laid up in bed with a broken back or anything else nasty. He doesn't need to take the risk any longer. For fans, those words were chilling. For Hamilton, they must have been deeply uncomfortable, a public suggestion that his time at the very top, and perhaps in the sport entirely, has already passed. The Italian media has shown no mercy either, known for its passion but also its impatience. The press in Italy has treated Hamilton's slow start as a national disappointment. La Gazzetta dello Sport, the country's most prominent sports paper, rated his Hungarian Grand Prix performance just 5 out of 10, writing he started 12th and finished in the same position. He'd never looked so down and demoralized. Considering the SF25's troubles, he needs to shake things up. Ferrari needs the real Lewis. That phrase, the real Lewis, is telling. It suggests that in the eyes of Ferrari's fanbase, the tifosi Hamilton's true self has been absent since he arrived. And when your reputation rests on delivering miracles, the absence of those miracles quickly becomes a story in itself. Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc has been quietly but consistently outperforming him. Across the first 14 races, Leclerc has taken 5 podiums and a pole position. Hamilton's best finish? A distant 4th. The gap between them, 42 points, isn't just a number. It's the kind of margin that influences strategy meetings, media narratives, and the balance of power within a team. In the Constructors' Championship, Ferrari is locked in a fierce fight with Mercedes for second place. Every point matters, and Hamilton's current form could determine which way the battle swings. And then there's the intrigue of those paddock meetings in Hungary. Cameras didn't just catch Vassar visiting Mercedes' hospitality, they caught Toto Wolff making the return trip to Ferrari's space. Officially, it was about the 2026 engine regulations. Unofficially, paddock insiders suspect it could be about something far more dramatic. The simplest theory is a personnel move, bringing over someone like Bono to support Hamilton. The bolder theory is that these were early talks about a possible return to Mercedes for Hamilton himself. It sounds implausible, even sensational. But in a sport where driver movements can reshape entire championship battles, nothing can be ruled out. For Hamilton, the stakes have never been higher, not in points, but in legacy, sitting 6th in the Drivers' Championship with just 109 points. He's less than half the tally of leader Oscar Piastri. For a man who built his career on relentless winning, the numbers are stark. His record of winning at least one race in every season of his career was broken in 2022. Now, he faces the very real possibility of a second winless season in 3 years. This wasn't supposed to be how the Ferrari chapter unfolded. The vision was clear. Arrive as the season champion, lead the Scuderia back to the top, and cement an untouchable legacy. Instead, it risks becoming a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the greatest can be humbled by Formula One's unforgiving nature. The summer break offers a pause, but not relief. For Hamilton, it's a chance to reflect on whether this partnership with Ferrari can be salvaged or whether Ecclestone's blunt advice is worth taking. For Ferrari's management, it's time to decide whether sticking with their current lineup serves their goals for the rest of the season, or whether bold, even unprecedented moves are necessary. The Tifosi's patience is thin, the media's criticism is loud, and the clock is ticking. Formula One doesn't stop. The circus will move on to the next race, the next controversy, the next moment of glory or heartbreak. And that's why the question now is brutally simple. Will Lewis Hamilton be in the red overalls when the lights go out again? Or will this summer mark the end of a short-lived, ill-fated chapter in the career of a sporting icon? One thing is certain: if the fairy tale is to be saved, it will take more than hope. It will take change, and it will take it now. So I'll leave it to you. Should Hamilton fight through the storm and try to reclaim his magic? Or should he walk away before his legacy takes another hit? Tell me what you think in the comments, and if you want to keep following this saga as it unfolds, subscribe now, because whatever happens next, it won't just be another story. It will be a defining moment in the history of Formula One.